Well, guys and girls, another E3 is in the bags. The 2017 show is officially over, but there is still so much to talk about, so many games to think about, and so many videos to make. And we're starting off with my top 10 games of E3 2017. What's up, everybody? It's Ghost Robo, and this list is agonizing to make. Trust me, it's fun. It's so much fun, but it is so hard to narrow down a field of literally hundreds of games to one list of 10, but I've managed to do it. I have cut off all of the extras, and there are only 10 that remain. The highlights of my week, the best games of E3, my personal favorites. Let's kick it off with number 10. This is a title that I expected to see a whole lot more of. I thought there would be a full release date. I thought it would be probably hitting this fall, and none of that happened. But we did get a better glimpse of what this story is about, and Detroit Become Human looks absolutely awesome. I love the fact that, one, it represents my favorite city in the world, and two, it continues David Cage's awesome efforts to tell really intense stories in a super engaging manner. I had a chance to go hands-on with last year's demo where you played as a android agent trying to stop another android from diving off a building with a girl. And this demo was incredibly eye-opening to me because, one, it revealed that yes, I still like the style of gameplay even though it functions just like Heavy Rain or Beyond Two Souls with a little bit of clunky controls and a whole lot of environmental investigation. But it really confirmed to me that there are a lot of options and a whole lot of ways for this to go incredibly right or incredibly wrong. My goal with this demo was to try and take the girl and the android to the edge, literally, and then push them over. I wanted to fail the scene. I wanted to have it go all wrong, because in the demos I saw last E3, it always went right. And you talked the android down, or he got shot and the girl was saved. I wanted it to go wrong. And now the trailer that they showed featuring the last playable character did look very cool as well, but this was the moment I was looking forward to. Could I, quote, fail the scene? Could I, quote, ruin their perfect tale? And yes, the answer is I absolutely did. I took the android, angered him, made some foolish mistakes, and then was able to have him jump off with the girl. And I talked to one of the guys working on the game, and he said that there's a whole lot of possible outcomes for that scene, including one where all three characters die. Yes, your playable character and the faulty android and the girl can all careen over the edge of the building and splat down below. And that is what makes these games so awesome, and that's why I love Cage's style of storytelling, because anything can happen, and all the characters aren't guaranteed to make it to the end. And it's truly your story. I look forward so much to playing this one. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I cannot wait for whenever it releases sometime, hopefully next year, on PlayStation 4. Oh, this one is such a tough slot for me. I wanted to put God of War so much higher, but it's tough. One, there was an incredible lineup of games across this year's E3, and two, they didn't really talk much about it. It's coming early 2018, so I'm sure we are due for a PSX big unveiling, and at that point, it'll probably take the driver's seat in one of my most, if not my top, anticipated game. But for now, they showed a very cool trailer highlighting more of the combat, more diversity in Kratos' weapon set, and the World Serpent. Probably the most memorable / weirdest creature of E3 2017 for me. But the game looks great. I just wanted more. I thought we'd get a demo. That's not Sony's MO during their conferences lately, but I was hoping we'd get a lot more from God of War, from Cory Barlog, and from the storyline. What ways were they evolving the franchise and the series like they showed last year? Last E3, I got to sit in a behind closed doors and really get an eye-opening discussion on why this God of War was so vastly different from the previous. And in this trailer, it did highlight his son, and it showcased more of a plot-heavy game, but it didn't really reveal much more than that. I don't have a greater understanding of the overall flow of this game, the overall focus, and I would have loved to see more, and that's why I have to put it at number 9. It's going to be incredible. It looks absolutely beautiful. Heck, it's one of the PlayStation 4 sequels that we actually got a solid timetable for, and Shuhei Yoshida said it is absolutely coming early 2018. I just gotta wait for PSX before I go gaga for God of War once again. I feel like this game has swam completely under the radar at E3. Splatoon 2 is awesome. It compiles 3 elements into a full beautiful package. You've got the epic competitive multiplayer that we've seen in Splatoon 1 and in the recent test fire. You've got a very innovative and creative platformer-esque single player, and now you have Salmon Run, this awesome horde style cooperative mode, and it really is such a value. A bright, happy game, a shooter that isn't focused on blood and guts, and something that takes advantage of your Nintendo Switch while you wait for Mario. I think that Splatoon 2 is going to be one of the best and biggest games on Switch in 2017, but because it's been known for so long and because it is a sequel, it isn't getting as much love as it deserves. I think that number 8 is a great slot for Splatoon 2. I feel like it's awesome because it's coming out next month. How many games did we see at E3 that we have no clue when they're even arriving in store shelves? Well, Splatoon 2 is hitting your Switch next month. It is fantastic. I cannot wait to pour many hours into all of the modes, especially now that they've intertwined them even more with gear carrying over between the different events. I love Splatoon. I think it's going to be a hit on Switch, and I really was surprised to see so many people queuing up for Salmon Run. This new co-op mode looks awesome. There's a lot of different difficulty variety, even though the maps and the scenario may be a little bit small in terms of difference. You can kick that thing up a ton of notches in 5% increments from 0 to 100, and then double it to 200%. So there's a lot of challenge there for you and your friends, and it looks to be another exciting way to take care of the evil that clouds the Squid Kid world. Another game I was insanely excited for that received no release date. I was crossing my fingers Spidey would drop in 2017 to match the movie release, but it seems like they are going a different direction. The storyline, the game world, has nothing to do with any of the past films or comic books, and instead is crafting its own spot within the Marvel Universe. I sat in on a behind closed doors with creative director Brian Intar, and Insomniac seems very locked in on making an absolutely awesome game. I love the fact that it does resemble a little bit of the Arkham series with their combat, with their hiding and lurking above the combat and then dropping in for some quick and acrobatic maneuvers. I like the story focus and the character focus, bringing in Miles Morales at the end of that trailer, and it was fun to watch the demo be played in person because it helped me know that this game is more than just QTEs and sliding around the city. It has absolutely solid gameplay as well, and it's real. It's a real game that looks gorgeous, and it does have that swinging. They're committed to bringing a big world. They're committed to giving you a Manhattan that is fun to explore at such speed, but they're also committed to giving more of the core combat and that gameplay that, for me, made the Arkham series so enjoyable, and I hope it does the same for Spider-Man. I love Insomniac's work. Ratchet & Clank was really, really cool, and Sunset Overdrive was one of my favorites when it released, so Spider-Man has a great pedigree, and it seems like they're totally on the right track. They're committed to delivering an all-original experience. They're committed to delivering one that holds true to Spider-Man and his values, and they look to have a really good gameplay mechanic loop on their hands. So I'm super pumped for Spider-Man. I feel like it is going to be a top tier game when it releases, whenever that may be. Perhaps we get more at PSX. It seems like Sony is saving quite a bit for that show. They've got a lot of games on this list. They've got a lot of great games coming up in the future. When will they release? Most of their lineup was identical to E3 2016, and that was a bit of a bummer, but you can't be bummed too long when you see something as cool as Spider-Man for PS4. Visually, this game is outstanding. Upgrade and improvement-wise, this game hits the mark. Single player, I still don't know. Man, Star Wars Battlefront 2, you came out guns blazing to kick off E3 during the EA Play press conference, looking oh so gorgeous, droids running all over the map. It was super fun to play. It does look absolutely marvelous. I played on PC and I love what I saw. It is fast-paced, it is fun, it has more of a Battlefield sense to it than the last Battlefront, and I love their new way of using your battle points to upgrade yourself within the match, getting to have a chance to play as a battle droid or maybe even Darth Maul. I like the inclusion of all three eras. I think the maps look really cool. They have expanded the content, but that single player, that's what I was most excited about before the show, and I still know very little. I read a couple of reports of some outlets getting to see one single player level behind closed doors, and those articles were conflicting. One said, really cool, really excited for it. The other said, very rote, very boring, and not sure how it was going to pan out. So I want to judge for myself, and we can't because they showed none of it. That game comes out in November. Obviously, they will sell a ton even without showing campaign, but I wanted to see it. I thought Sony with their partnership would reveal a little bit more of Jane Erso's story, but we didn't see it. So win, and I don't know when that is, but there is a beta. The multiplayer looks absolutely epic. I have to put it on the list because it was so fun, and I enjoyed Battlefront 1, so an upgraded version of that with a lot of improvements and a more full package can't be bad. I just really hope they come through in the clutch with that single player. They've got a couple months left of development. I'm really excited to see how the 8th movie turns out, and now I just hope that this second rebooted Battlefront can be absolutely epic. This one was really tough for me to figure out where to place among my top 10, because on one hand, it didn't deliver the absolutely jaw-dropping moment that I hoped for, but on the other, AC Origins did enough to bring me all the way back into the world of Assassins. I played for over an hour on Xbox One X, and it looks gorgeous. Egypt, it does enough. It is the reason why you're excited about this Assassin's Creed. They have made improvements. They have upgraded the combat. They have done some things to try and solidify the quest structure and the overall gameplay world, but it's that Egyptian locale and the way it takes shape on screen for your eyeballs that I think is going to draw people back to this franchise. And I really did enjoy exploring such a big, vast, colorful world. It was a nice change of pace, as I predicted, from the past European areas, and now you get to explore with a brand new eagle vision that allows you to fly above the combat scene and mark your enemies and find your targets. Now, it seems to borrow a lot from other Ubisoft games. They like to do that, and more their titles begin to merge and feel like a blend of each other more than their own original vision. But I think the team and the director see that Assassin's Creed needed to be put back in a place where it could be innovative, where it could be incredibly engaging, and where it could be upgraded. And they have done that in a number of ways. The combat, first, isn't the full Dark Souls implementation that I would have loved to see, but it is better and does give it a little bit more oomph instead of just bouncing from target to target. The loot system encourages you to explore and complete quests because you're always gunning for better gear and better weapons, and then the world itself is bigger than ever, and it looked incredible fully realized on that Xbox One X. The console itself, not so sure about, but AC Origins should go down as one of the top games this fall. Every year there is one game that you just want to love with all your heart, but something tells you, is it too good to be true? Well, this year it was Anthem, and I want this game to be what it looks to be so freaking bad. It seems like everything I wanted Destiny to be, and it's Anthem. I really hope that they're able to fully realize the vision that they put on the big projector during the Xbox conference. Will they, though? BioWare has had some bad days recently, and it was great to see them garner some positive attention. But can they fully realize this Horizon meets Destiny meets Titanfall world? It looked marvelous. I don't know any other way to describe it except to say that it was the jaw-dropping moment. That was the one where I was like, holy crap, there isn't a game out there right now that does this at this level. And that's what I wanted to see from E3. That's what I wanted more of. I was hoping to get even more titles that represented a future vision for games, and Anthem does. What is it really? When will it finally release? How does it play? Is that world as huge in scope and size and style as they made it seem, or is it going to be reduced, and are we kind of getting a dream vision of what BioWare hopes to print on a disc in fall 2018? I'm not exactly sure, but right now I'm going to let my imagination run wild. I'm not slotting it higher because I do have those reservations, but boy oh boy, if that comes true, Anthem could definitely be one for the record books. I am genuinely shocked this game is this high on my list, but it was so fun. I went in not expecting much, thinking it would be same old, but Call of Duty World War II really impressed. I got to play 3 different multiplayer modes: traditional team deathmatch, traditional domination, and then war. And this was possibly my favorite playable demo of the entire show. It was such a fun mixture of Call of Duty, Battlefield, and Overwatch, taking objectives in more of a narrative style as you move from overcoming a mansion to repairing a bridge, planting and defending a bomb, escorting a tank. It had a real battle feel about it, and not Battlefield, but something wholly original, and I love that. The guns felt great. It was exciting to return to boots on the ground. I've seen some criticism leveled against the actual mechanics and some of the balance of Call of Duty World War II, but as someone who's not super hardcore, I thought it felt absolutely fine. I really enjoyed it, and it was my favorite hands-on experience of the week, and it was such a good thing to see something that has been so ill-received lately kind of flip the tables. And I'm going to put my faith in Sledgehammer. Obviously, we haven't seen campaign. I have no idea the number of maps, the number of modes, how it'll all come together when it finally releases on November 3rd. But right now, it is sitting pretty, and I thought it looked great visually. It sounded absolutely amazing. Their audio design was just right. And then the gameplay, that war mode, like, it really did a number on me. I was super invested in rushing with my team to take these different points and not just capture points, but move through, like they said, a narrative storyline. And it's usually the case in E3 where you hear this marketing spiel, and then you play it or you see it and you're like, it doesn't really match the words, it doesn't really match sort of the vision. But here it did for me. I really felt like I was part of an actual battle, and they placed these in these epic theaters of war, and it had that sense and that size, and it was great. I loved it, and it was fun. And I think at the end of the day, games should be fun, and even if there have been Call of Duties for the last dozen years or so, I'm ready for one to really win me over again, and I'm ready to be fully invested in a multiplayer that seems refined and seems to be tweaked in a way that takes things back but also takes things forward. And that was what I hoped from Call of Duty. Would they be able to return to that nostalgic flair of World War II, but also advance the game in a way that made it seem fresh? And for me, it did that, and it earns its number 3 spot. I'm a huge sucker for third-person shooters with great storylines, and Days Gone hits those marks and more. I was so sure that this would be releasing either late this year or early next year, but we got no date at all. And I guess I'm okay waiting because it looks to be just my kind of game. I sat in behind closed doors, I saw the demos, I heard the team speak, and they're really impressing me. I like this feel of a Last of Us style, but almost a little more hardcore, and a different take on the zombie outbreak. It isn't after everything went wrong. It isn't right up to the point where everything goes bad. It seems to be just smack dab in the thick of it, and I like that idea. This dynamic world where events take place, whether you're witnessing them or not, is really impressive, and I like being able to modify the way in which you interact with the world. We saw an example of using the swarm to take out an encampment of enemies. We also saw ignoring the swarm completely and just using straight up gunplay to ruin their day. And I don't know much about the storyline. The characters seem a little brash, but that world, man, it's very fully realized, and you do feel a sense of, hey, I'm in this Pacific Northwest, everything has gone wrong, and I gotta survive. I like seeing some of those elements as well. The RPG systems, the crafting, the loot gathering, that was really cool, and I think if they're able to separate themselves from Last of Us enough to not draw direct comparisons, but maintain a similar feel, a similar flair, and sit kind of in that genre of third-person shooter, but this time with more explorative elements, a bigger, vaster world, and a mission structure that seems to encourage unique encounters and a little bit of creativity, it could be a really, really near perfect game. And Sony has knocked it out of the park with their exclusive lineup. We've already seen Detroit Become Human, God of War, Spider-Man, and now Days Gone hit my list. And it's true, they really are delivering some top tier games. It's just, when will they come out, and will their visions be fully realized? That seems to be sort of a running theme throughout this list, but I saw enough of Days Gone that it upgraded itself from maybe it's going to be cool to it's definitely going to be real good. Just will it achieve greatness? And I want to see more of that world. I want to know what the different missions are like and how you can interact with the environments to take down your foes. I like the idea of being able to assess a situation and not just come in with guns, but to maybe utilize traps, to utilize the swarm, to utilize guns if you feel like it, to utilize the weather and the day-night cycle, and really have almost a Last of Us style game, an Uncharted style game, but in a living, breathing world that does have a narrative, but isn't as linear. That is super exciting to me. I can't wait to play it. I hope we get more at PSX. But yeah, Days Gone is way up there, atop the list of games I wish I was playing right now. Surprisingly, this was a pretty easy placement to make because Nintendo absolutely rocked the show this year. Super Mario Odyssey looks like the game I've been waiting for. As a huge fan of 64 and Sunshine, I wanted a sandbox-style Mario for what feels like ages, and they're delivering. It may not be exactly in the exact same way as 64 or Sunshine, but perhaps it's even better. A more open world Mario with all of these different objectives and new elements as well, like Cappy, that can take over enemies and objects in really fun and exciting ways, plus a currency system to buy outfits to help unlock even more of the world before you. I worry a little bit about the difficulty, about the moon placement, and about how many kingdoms they will have in the final product, but I gotta put my faith in Nintendo. I'm trusting David Cage, I'm trusting Battlefront 2, I'm trusting Sledgehammer, so how could I not trust Shigeru Miyamoto? This game brought so much pizzazz and enthusiasm to E3, the booth was absolutely chaotic all week long with so many players wanting to experience Cappy and Mario on the Switch. That platform has invigorated a company. That game looks to be the one they need to solidify their place this holiday season, and it's just so much fun. I played through the Sand Kingdom and I really enjoyed exploring, collecting moons, and using Cappy to take over bullet bills and Goombas. Plus, that 8-bit Mario style, borrowing from A Link Between Worlds to mix with the level and mess with Mario, and then seeing him pop out and seamlessly transform back into 3D was one of my favorite moments of E3. That trailer is what ruined my voice. The scraggly, scratchy thing you're hearing right now is because of Super Mario Odyssey, and I know it's going to be one that I obsessively play. It releases on the same day as my number 5 game, Assassin's Creed Origins, and that will be a tough task to balance both. But I know that I'll be popping in Super Mario Odyssey first. And I think that in an era of games that feel similar, of games that feel bleak, of games that feel repetitive, it's so awesome to see Nintendo experimenting with their franchises, because in the past you could have accused them of similar faults with their main titles, but Zelda took a bold step with Breath of the Wild, and now Mario seems to be taking a similarly bold step with Mario Odyssey. I really am excited to see what that looks like fleshed out when I have the cartridge in my hands. How does it play in a full 10, 15, 20 hour play experience? But it was so rewarding to see them reveal a game that was as magnificent as Mario himself, and to see this title captivate 68,000 E3 goers. Well, there you have it, my friends, my top 10 games of E3 2017. What a tough list to make, a brain burner this year. Absolute madness to try and boil down to just these games, and it was painful to leave off some incredible titles like Dragon Ball FighterZ, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, Metroid Samus Returns, and Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, but it had to be done, and I'm super pumped to see where these 10 games go between now and release. Let me know in the comments down below your favorites from this list or any others that really wowed you at E3 2017. It was a very good show, and I've got a whole lot more for you, so stay tuned. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this year's E3. Make sure to subscribe to stay on top of all these upcoming releases, and I'll be bringing you more content as the days go on. Gonna try to recover my voice a little and wait for some of these awesome games. But for now, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Have a fantastic day. Drink some hot chocolate. I love you. And until next time, we will see you all later.